It is early morning when Booker DeWitt drifts upward toward the mysterious city in the sky. The world below disappears beneath a blanket of mist, and the rhythmic creak of the small rowboat fades from memory. He sits back in the quiet gondola, lulled by the sway of the rise, the low hum of unseen engines, and the muted caress of clouds on painted wood. Columbia reveals itself like a daydream. The clouds part, not sudden but soft, until golden light pours across his face and the floating city comes into view. Buildings gleam white and cream in the fresh dawn, banners flutter lightly, and high above, airships drift, unhurried, like docile whales in an endless blue sea. Everything is edged in gold and wreathed in the hush of waking. Booker steps from the gondola onto a floating promenade, his steps quiet against polished wood. The air here is lighter, tinged with the scent of magnolia and distant bread, the echoes of gentle music drifting in and out. A waltz played slowly on a carousel's calliope. He closes his eyes and lets the breeze tug at his jacket, feeling the warmth of a world that seems to promise nothing but ease. As Booker wanders down sleepy streets, the city's silence is alive, not empty. A rustle of newspapers in the breeze, the far-off laugh of a child unseen, the chatter of songbirds in high boughs. Gardens burst with lilies and daffodils, their colors washed anew by light. An old man sweeps a stoop with deliberate calm. Women stroll arm in arm beneath parasols, their voices flowing soft as water. In the city square, sunlight pools in slow puddles on cobbled stones. Booker sits on a bench, listening to fountains trickle and the distant ring of a church bell calling the city to gentle attention. He watches a pair of doves preen and take flight, their wings stirring nothing more than petals and lazy dust motes. There is so much to drink in here. Every inch is painted with patience, gas lamps still flickering. After the night, a paperboy folding the morning's news before he sets out. A sleepy couple sharing coffee beneath ferns and painted lattice. Booker lets his mind quiet, letting the city's pace teach his own heart to slow as well. He strolls to a quiet garden, where roses climb up whitewashed trellises and a small pond mirrors the sky so perfectly that it feels as if he might step into the clouds if he tried. In the hush, he breathes in the scent of earth and water, of green things unfolding with the sun. No one pays him questions or burdens him with cares here. For this hour, at least, Columbia is simply a refuge, a hush above the world below, a dream built on drift and light. Booker sits among the flowers, closes his eyes once more, and lets the city cradle him. The sky is vast, the peace enveloping. Every breath draws him deeper into rest. Somewhere, gentle bells ring, soft, promising. A song for the sleeping and the waking alike. Booker drifts, half in the world, half in a dream, floating above old pain. Columbia is his sanctuary, of morning, held above worry, promising nothing but gentle passage through the clouds. Booker rises slowly from his seat by the pond, the morning growing brighter and warmer around him. Gentle breezes sway the roses beside him, the petals falling like tiny whispers into the water. He strolls along the winding garden paths, his boots making little sound on the mossy stones, each turn promising a fresh burst of green and gold. The city is still waking. Windows creak open, shutters blink to let in daylight, and distant laughter floats above the rooftops. Booker touches a spray of jasmine, the scent clean and sweet. A gardener kneels nearby, tending to a row of sunflowers with patient hands, humming a lullaby as old as the city itself. Sunlight skips across stained glass, scattering rainbows on the pathway where Booker walks. Birds flit overhead, none in a hurry, their song threading through the soft air. He finds himself in a quiet square, its heart a grand old oak, its branches spreading like welcoming arms. Beneath its shade, children chase one another, their shrieks soft and joyful, fading quickly into contented peace as they sink down into soft grass. A trolley rumbles past, its bell ringing in slow, kind intervals. Booker steps aside to let it pass, watching as faces glance out, each serene and unburdened by the day ahead. The scene feels painted, every motion effortless, each detail tuned to gentleness rather than urgency. He wanders into a conservatory, its doors wide to let in air and the hum of flowers. Inside, the temperature settles into perfect balance. Roses climb glass walls, tulips burst in bold colors, and ferns curl soft and inviting in dim corners. Booker sits for a time among the ferns, their fronds. Brushing his boots, the hush so complete he can hear the steady movement of his own breath, the slow ticking of a distant clock. The city outside is just as calm. Couples stroll and pause to admire fountains. A boy pours seed for sparrows along a tiled wall. Booker buys a roll from a sleepy vendor, tastes honey and cream that seems to capture the morning itself, and thanks her with a nod. The vendor's face is gentle, a reminder that kindness is Colombia's currency today. He returns to the park, a maze of green trimmed with beckoning benches. Clouds drift overhead, casting lazy shadows across the square. Booker lies back on the grass, his view a puzzle of branches and blue sky, the muffled sounds of the city passing through leaves. He closes his eyes for a time. The world narrows to warmth, soft air, distant music, and the gentle hush of Colombia standing. Watch above the clouds. Thoughts roam, but not far. Booker is not called to conflict or inquiry here. He is free to notice the pattern of light sliding across his hand, the whisper of wind in flower beds, the distant chime of a clock somewhere in the gilded steeples. Each moment flows slowly into the next, lapsing into comfort and letting the promise of day settle in as a quiet joy. As evening approaches, lamps begin to glow amber among the garden walks, their light diffused and patient, leading the way toward rest. Booker lingers, the hush of the city singing him gently. Homeward, the night air is cool and clear, carrying hints of jasmine and bread and the slow, endless peace of Colombia's sky. He returns to his room near the edge of the garden. Moonlight drapes the windows and the city quiets, every sound softened, every worry distant. Booker eases into sleep beneath sheets light as air, thoughts and heart held safe by the city floating far above the storm. Colombia, gentle and watchful, gives sanctuary once more to all who seek it. Booker surrenders to dreams warm and light, the gardens of morning and evening spiraling now into slumber, promising rest without end. As afternoon melts into evening, Booker wanders toward the central fairgrounds of Colombia, drawn by the soft glow of lanterns and the mellow hum of celebration whispered on the breeze. The sky above is a canvas brushed with gold and lavender. Clouds drift lazily past the stately buildings, as the entire city seems to hover between waking and dreaming. Booker's steps are slow, each one light on the polished wood walkways and broad avenues of the floating city. He pauses often, letting gentle crowds pass him by, families gathered beneath striped awnings, couples linked arm in arm, old friends enjoying ice cream beneath arching lamplight. Every voice and motion is cushioned by the city's generosity, laughter bubbling easily, words exchanged with the same gentle hush as the slowly turning Ferris wheel. Music lifts from the main pavilion, sweet and distant, a small jazz band playing in a circle. Booker listens as the notes drift around the square, laced with the scent of popcorn and roses. He smiles at vendors calling their wares with soft voices. Candied nuts, honeyed lemonade, fresh rolls dusted with cinnamon. Guests sample, stroll, sigh contentedly, their faces soft in the fading amber light. Booker moves through the fairgrounds with no need for hurry. Everywhere he looks is a celebration of calm. The merry-go-rounds, pastel horses circling in a slow parade, children tossing rings at gentle games, the pull of banners overhead swaying like sails on a slow sea. He leans against a painted column, savoring the scene. A tableau built on ease, where joy never rises beyond a quiet cheer. He buys a small bag of caramel corn, the sweetness lingering as he moves toward the long arcade. Games are played with laughter and patience. No one shouts, no one quarrels. The fairground is sheltered by twining vines and the overhead play of colored lanterns. Shadows stretch softly across the walkways, melding gold and indigo into a promise of restful night. Booker finds a bench and sits, watching the Ferris wheel rise and fall, the motion gentle and rhythmic. Couples ride to the top in slow circles, gazing out over cloud-wrapped rooftops and distant towers, the sky painted anew by every fading minute of sun. The city's edge blurs into a misty, glowing boundary. Above is only sky, below only song and memory. Gentle conversation drifts past. Booker listens to a story told by an old woman, her words trailing like ribbons beside the soft clink of glass bottles. Children giggle in the next row, their laughter soft, fading as they tire. A soft breeze brings the scent of distant bakery, a reminder that Columbia, above all, is a haven meant to nourish as much as to dazzle. Twilight deepens. The music slows, winding toward a final chorus. Parents gather their sleepy children, and lanterns shimmer, guiding the way home. Booker stands and walks slowly back. Through the fairgrounds, every step cushioned by the city's patience, the warmth of shared happiness humming through the boards beneath his feet. When he reaches his room at the edge of the gardens, moonlight slips across his pillow. The city is quiet, the fairgrounds now wrapped in deep velvet, every light a promise of safe dreams. Booker lies down, thoughts drifting from carousel horses to the calm, endless sky. Sleep comes gently as if Columbia herself were a cradle floating above the world. He dreams of Ferris wheels spinning slowly across a garden of clouds, of lanterns glowing like distant stars, of laughter held close in the comfort of the floating city. Twilight endures long past midnight, peace gathering with every hour, and the promise of gentle mornings is never far away. As twilight deepens and the last laughter of the fairground falls away, Booker strolls back toward the Infinite Gardens, a tranquil oasis nestled between ivory towers and silver-clouded walkways. Lanterns wink on one by one, painting the city's winding paths in pools of soft golden light. The air is fragrant honeysuckle, cut grass, the faint echo of roasting peanuts, and the world slows to a lull of peace, promising deep comfort. He wanders beneath towering elms and willows, leaves whispering overhead in the gentle breeze. Columbia's famous gardens sprawl in lazy labyrinths, white gravel winding past beds overflowing with lilacs, roses, and violets. Statues pose at each turn, their faces serene beneath moon-washed marble, silently welcoming every traveler who seeks refuge in stillness. Booker pauses beside a reflecting pool. Moonlight scatters in shifting ribbons across its glassy surface, and koi glide aimlessly, their scales glinting blue and pink. He crouches down, dipping his fingertips in the cool water, watching the ripples circle outward until the world is calm again. The sound of his breath mingles with the trickle of a nearby fountain, a lullaby for a city floating far above turmoil. He sits on a bench beneath an ancient cherry tree, petals drifting down like slow rain. The air is thick with memories, low voices passing among the flowers, a violin playing gently in a distant corner, the lazy croak of frogs in the ponds. Booker closes his eyes, letting the garden's soft magic enfold him. Time loses all meaning here. He is carried by the hush of swaying branches, the comfort of cool stone and soft fragrance. Nearby, a gardener tends to midnight blooms with careful hands, shaking dew over beds of jasmine. And sweet Alyssum, she moves with utter patience, each movement a message from the city itself. Breathe easy, rest now, stay as long as you wish. Booker nods to her, greeted by a kindly gaze, before watching her fade into darkness, lantern casting gentle circles on the ground. He rises again and follows winding paths bordered with lanterns. Couples stroll by, lost in quiet conversation, arms entwined and steps perfectly matched to the slow rhythm of Columbia's floating. Night, children doze in strollers, lulled by the hush of fountains. A blanket of contentment wraps the city soft as spun silk. At a pavilion, Booker finds a seat by great marble columns, listening to the steady music of cicadas and the distant echo of cello. His mind drifts, lulled by the peace, by the way time slows and deepens among the gardens. Shadows lengthen. Every leaf wears a silver lining. Every flower seems caught in a dream. He watches as a flock of doves circles overhead, wings quiet against the blue-black sky. Lanterns bob in the breeze, reflected in every pool. He lets the quiet find him, the assurance that here, within Columbia's heart, nothing troubles the dusk. Not worry, not fear, not memory. Hours slip quietly past. Booker strolls, sits, watches moonlight sway across vines and statues. He lets himself unwind, thoughts scattering like petals, until only quiet remains. The city's lull is total, a world wrapped in cloud, light, and infinite gentleness. When at last sleep calls, he returns to his room that overlooks the gardens, windows wide to the cool air and drifting fragrances. The sheets are soft, the pillows thick, and with each breath, Booker feels the weight of every old care slip further away. He lies in bed, listening to the distant music and the slow traffic of clouds beyond his window. Columbia, awake but gentle, promises rest beyond anything found below. Dreams arrive in waves, the hush of water, the scent of lilacs, laughter echoing through lantern-lit walks, the touch of moonlight painting every memory soft and safe. Booker drifts into sleep, deep and steady, embraced by the infinite gardens of Columbia, comforted by the certainty that peace flows endlessly through the city and every soul resting within. Booker wakes while the world is still blue with pre-dawn calm. Through open windows he smells rain on white stone, blossoming lilac, and pastries baking far below. He lies still beneath heavy quilts, letting the quiet of Columbia seep deep into his bones. The city is hushed, its heartbeat as soft and steady as breath, the sky slowly brightening beyond his windowsill. He rises without hurry. His reflection is cast in the curved glass as he splashes cool water on his face, the tiny droplets echoing the rhythm of a nearby fountain. The chill is pleasant, reminding him that above the clouds all things are gentle, sunlight arriving not as a blaze, but as a delicate wash that rolls in like silk. He dresses in slow, sure motions, the fabric soft and clean, every movement deliberate and peaceful. Booker steps out onto a small balcony draped in ivy, the city opening before him as a dream, rendered in gold. All of Columbia glimmers, wrapped in a mist that glows pale as the moon. Far below, streets and gardens begin to stir, and high above, doves wheel lazily, their wings slipping through ribbons of early sunlight. He watches for a while, breathing in the dawn, letting the hush become solace. When the streets below finally fill with the quiet life of Columbia, Booker descends a spiral staircase to the cobblestone walkways, each step echoing softly in the cool air. Light spills over the rooftops, gilding banners that float between lampposts and rooftops. He pauses by a baker's stand. The smell of warm bread and sweet apples fills the corner. The baker's hands gentle as she arranges her loaves. She offers Booker a piece. He takes it in gratitude, the crust warm, the filling bright with honeyed fruit. He sits on a bench nearby, eating slowly while the city comes to life with unhurried joy. Booker continues down a leafy avenue lined with pillared mansions and rooftop gardens. Every home is blooming with violets and creeping thyme, and the residents offer a nod and a wordless smile as they pass. Neighbors water petunias on stoops, white sheets flutter from windows, and a peddler whistles a soft tune as he cycles through puddles left from the night's rain. The city's airways rouse for the day, a network of platforms and gently gliding trolleys drifting between the neighborhoods. Their bells ting softly as they round corners, greeting the morning with reverence rather than rush. Booker boards an open tram and rides high above the city's parks and aviaries. He passes beneath bridges grown wild with hanging ivy, glimpses a meadow of daisies, tended by children, and the slow glimmer of the river weaving silver between floating burrows. He steps off in the market district as sunlight reaches full strength, everything bright and inviting. Stalls display fruit, flowers, tiny toys carved from pale wood and painted with cloud-bright colors. Booker walks, listening to merchants talk quietly among themselves and children picking out pastries for a morning treat. Even here, where life is busy, nothing is frantic. There is time for every breath, every exchange of laughter, every quiet appreciation of the day's offerings. In the main square, a sculpted fountain catches the sunlight, water tumbling gently over marble and reflecting 1,000 shifting glints. Booker sits by the fountain, the sound of splashing merging, with the low tune of an accordion played by an old man in a blue cap. He listens, closes his eyes, and lets the music swirl around him. The song equals parts joy and memory. Lunch is a warm roll enjoyed on a shaded bench while swallows circle overhead. In the afternoon, Booker drifts along the avenues, sometimes walking, sometimes pausing to watch a family of cats drowsing in a hay cart, lilies nodding by the waterside, or a group of friends playing cards while their laughter mingles with the slow flow of the river wind. He absorbs every detail, the sound of slow footsteps, the scent of orange blossom, the brush of sunlight on his arms. Later, Booker returns to his room and naps, the peace so complete he slips instantly into dreamy weightlessness. The afternoon drifts by outside his window, time slowing until it feels suspended, like a cloud itself. He wakes at dusk, refreshed, the sky awash in amber and mauve while shadows climb the spires of Columbia. Evening comes gently, lanterns glowing along the railings and bridges. Booker dines by candlelight, at a small cafe, watching as families and couples pass, snippets of laughter and music floating on the breeze. The world quiets around him, the city settling into contented silence, every window aglow with warm, welcoming light. As night deepens, Booker walks once more through the infinite gardens, moonlight brightening, every petal, every blade of grass made silver. Doves murmur overhead, leaves rustle in the peace, and fountains sing a lullaby that settles in his chest like hope. He finds a bench beneath a flowering magnolia, closes his eyes, and lets Columbia cradle him in the long, endless quiet. He returns to his room at last, the sheets cool and the pillows soft. He slides beneath the covers, listening as the city's hush narrows to the slow beat of his heart under the star-washed sky. Thoughts fade into sleep beneath the golden clouds and the gentle promise of another tranquil day to come. Columbia, weightless and wise, holds every dream aloft, quiet as breath, bright as the dawn. A new day dawns on Columbia, the sky ethereal and endless, a vast canvas brushed by feathery streaks of early cloud. Booker wakes to the lazy movement of light, pale and golden, slipping through his curtains. In these first gentle moments, he feels all the city's peace vibrating in the room. Soft footsteps on the walk below, the call of a morning dove on a windowsill, the sensation of being suspended far above the world's troubles. He lingers in bed, drawn back into the quiet by the whispers of breeze coming through the open window. Even the scents are restful. Warm bread wafting in from breakfast stalls, lilies in full bloom, crisp dew on stone. Booker stretches, and every muscle, every thought is enveloped by calm. Everything in Columbia encourages gentleness. When he rises, he dresses with care, enjoying the small rituals of buttoning his waistcoat and smoothing his collar. He drinks a cup of coffee on the balcony, hands warming around the mug, watching as the city shimmer with sunlight. High above, sky rails curve gracefully, linking floating plazas and rooftop gardens, a constellation made of golden iron and the slow, patient movement of carriages. He watches them travel and thinks of birds weaving between the clouds. Booker spends the morning wandering. Every street in Columbia is different, each one a mix of bright banners, soft awnings, planters overflowing with peonies, and rows of trees knitting a canopy. Overhead, children play beside reflecting ponds, sending wooden boats on their way with whispered hopes. Gardeners greet him as he passes, some gathering armfuls of roses, some coaxing ivy along hidden walls, others simply standing quietly, hands deep in the earth, at peace in their work. He passes into an open square encircled by market carts and flower stalls, where neighbors swap stories and share baskets of strawberries. The air is filled with the warmth of contentment, and Booker lingers, listening to conversations in the language of easy living, kind jokes, advice passed between friends, the occasional lull of silence that feels restful, never awkward. He wanders next to the edge of Columbia, where the city floats over a lake of mirror-smooth clouds. Here, bridges and terraces dangle over endless blue and white, and benches perch beneath willow trees tied with bluish ribbons. Booker sits for a while by the rail, watching as a group of swans, real or dreamt, paddle across the sky lake, leaving ripples that dissolve before his eyes. At midday, he boards a sky ferry and drifts over to the city's western edge, where the waters of Columbia's central reservoir gleam emerald in the sun. The ferry glides softly, the city's towers sliding by in stately silence. Along the reservoir's shores are willow groves and shaded lawns. Booker steps ashore and follows quiet walks lined with bluebells and buttercups. He sits by the water's edge, listening to the gentle lapping, letting his mind loosen and wander as lazily as the surface waves. He watches families picnicking, blankets laid on the grass, baskets brimming with delights, children wading in the shallows, laughter low and musical. For a while, Booker closes his eyes, drifting with the sound of water and birds, the rising song of a string quartet playing beneath a vine-draped pavilion. In this world, there is no clamor, only the slow turning of day into day, each hour, a balm for every wound the world might give. The afternoon turns drowsy, sunlight flickering through leaves. Booker explores the conservatory, marveling at the endless varieties of fern, orchid, and midnight blue morning glory curving along trellises overhead. He sits at an outdoor table, sipping cool lemonade and watching a slow procession of clouds, some so close he could almost reach out and touch their edges. As daylight wanes, the city's street lamps begin to glow soft amber. One by one, Booker walks the long way home, stopping to listen to a quartet playing in the market, buying a small bouquet of lavender, which he tucks into his coat pocket. savoring its calming scent all the way back to his room. Night deepens with infinite patience. Columbia's gardens silver-lit, its waters dark and still, lanterns floating on the breeze. Booker opens the windows wide, letting moonlight paint silver shapes across the floor. He eats a late supper by candlelight, savoring each bite, his mind softened. By peace, his body loose and comfortable. Before sleep, he stands on the balcony and looks up at the sky, 1,000 stars brighter and closer than he has ever seen on Earth. Columbia breathes, the city's heart slow and strong, promising that the world is safe and beautiful, spun high above care and noise. When he slips into bed, Booker finds rest at once. Sleep heavy as velvet, dreams filled with lakes of cloud, rivers of music, and an endless home among towers and gardens and sky. Daybreak in Columbia arrives not as a moment but as a gradual, shimmering reveal. A soft band of rose and pearl spreading across every floating tower and sun-touched sill. Booker wakes slowly, cushioned by the quiet, the featherweight of high clouds beyond his window promising the peace this floating city never fails to bring. The world is still, save for the distant bells of a steeple below, and the faintest murmur of conversation somewhere in the neighboring row houses. He lingers in bed, letting the city's patience fill him up. There are no duties or fears in this hour. Instead, Columbia is a cradle, gently rocking him between the pulse of the wind and the hush of distant music. He watches sunlight break across his coverlet in golden waves, listening to doves begin their calls, soft, muted coos that never disturb, only soothe. When he rises, Booker wraps himself in a soft robe and steps onto the balcony. The air is bright and cool, faint with jasmine, as sky trams sweep quietly by above slow-circling gardens. He leans on the rail, watching the city begin its morning. Artists setting up easels under lamplight, shopkeepers arranging blooms and letters on their stoops, a young woman pausing at the curbside to free a butterfly tangled in lavender. The city's walkways flow with calm, each person moving as though there is nowhere else to be. Nothing faster, nothing louder than the present moment. Booker chooses a slower path, descending a stairway thick with vines and taking a turn beneath arches that glitter with dew. He passes by open windows filled with the scent of frying apples and cinnamon. Hears a mother reciting a lullaby to her child, the words woven seamlessly with the music of the bellflowers nodding outside the glass. He finds his way to one of the highest plazas, crowned by a gentle public garden. Marble benches, frame beds of wild asters and foxglove, larks sing in shaded bowers, and the air itself seems changed light, golden, somehow untethered from the earth's gravity. Booker sits quietly, closing his eyes, and lets the sun do its work, warming the line of his shoulders, tickling his forehead with soft new light. The peace of Columbia is total. A gardener greets him, an old man with smiles cradled in every wrinkle. He offers Booker a sprig of rosemary, tucks it behind his ear with a quiet blessing, and moves on, his footsteps as gentle as the wind. Booker listens to the shush of leaves, the hush of water in the distant fountains, and the nearly silent laughter of children in the park below. As the morning slips downward, he walks the garden's spiral paths, tracing patterns in the gravel, and pausing to study sculptures grown green with moss. He eats breakfast at an outdoor table, a bowl of ripe cherries and warm bread, each mouthful sweet and lingering as a daydream. Far below, the markets fill with gentle trade, the calls of merchants never urgent but soft as the city's ever-present breeze. Booker follows a skytram later, drifting among the clouds to the old observatory on the other side of Columbia. There, an astronomer, her hands stained with chalk, shows him the wide windows that let in all the morning's light. They talk about stars and seasons, trading quiet stories of skies, both above and below, never rushing the hours away. Together they watch the clouds roll and break, sunbeams sliding between them as if to caress and light up each future moment with hope. Lunch comes as a picnic, simple cheese, apple, walnuts, enjoyed with the astronomer on a rooftop tucked close to the sun. Below, trumpets play a slow tune from a distant veranda, the notes floating on blue air as the city naps in the warmth. Even the sky itself seems to pause, letting each moment expand to its fullest, wrapping Booker in the safety of weightlessness, of time paused, purely for rest. He spends the afternoon wandering the aviary, where swans and peacocks stroll among marble columns, feathers catching the sun like stained glass. Booker sits on a wide swing strung from a willow tree, letting himself sway gently, closing his eyes and breathing with the birds, his mind buoyed by the soft flutter of wings and the scent of clover growing wild in the grass. As the day falls towards evening, lanterns bloom to life across Columbia. Everyone gathers at the Grand Lawn for an open-air concert, families and friends, elders in their best coats, children in flower crowns. A small ensemble fills the sky with music, every note as slow and kind as river water. Booker wraps himself in a borrowed quilt, sipping lemonade, letting the swell of melody and laughter stir only the most delicate of thoughts. Twilight stretches forever as the concert ends. The city is a painting, 1,000 golden lights, each window holding the gentle heart of someone at peace. Booker strolls home beneath arches of lilac, his way lit by starlight and lantern, the warm press of Columbia's quiet humming through his chest. He prepares for bed as the wind settles, standing by his window one last time to watch the sea of clouds turn violet and blue. The city above the world sleeps in utter harmony, cradling every soul in the endless promise of sky. Booker lies down, sleep finding him instantly, drifting off to the tender hush of music, the rustle of wind high above the earth. A single heart at rest among the endless serene sky. The air is cool and clear as Booker awakens in his high room, Columbia afloat on a bed of clouds that stretch endlessly, golden and silver as far as the dreaming eye can see. He lies in the hush for a long time, watching gauzy sunlight drift along the ceiling, carrying the rhythms of a city built for quiet mornings and soft beginnings. Outside, bells ring low and patient, guiding the city from night into waking, every tone smooth and mellow as silk. Booker rises with a sense of expectation woven from peace, not duty. He washes his face in water, poured from a blue pitcher, the liquid cold and fresh, like a blessing carried from the heart of a mountain. He dresses in his softest clothes, layers chosen for the comfort of a languid day, and steps into slippers with soles brushed quiet by weeks of gentle use. On his balcony, a cool wind tugs at the curtains and ruffles his hair. Birds pass overhead, seabirds and doves, their wings catching the day's first gold. He watches as the city unfurls slowly beneath the sun, sky trams gliding past with a faint chiming and wide platforms shifting to meet the lazy drift of cloud banks. Every rooftop garden is alive with dew, flowers stretching wide, trailing vines trembling in the wind. He closes his eyes, letting the city's pulse steady his own. Booker heads out once the day has burned off the sleep from every sill and stoop. The walkways are swept clean by rain and the hands of early risers, their faces open with the contentment of another gentle dawn. He wanders farther than usual, across a long bridge where droplets still glisten. Every step a soft drumbeat absorbed by moss and old wood. The city's edge fades into breathless views, huge, sunlit vistas where Columbia hovers over a sea of clouds that glimmer and swirl in shifting patterns. From a high balcony, he leans against the rail and feels the world vast and near, the breeze cool and filled with the scents of lavender, sweetgrass, and the faintest hint of cinnamon. Below, more gardens muster their colors. Poppies, foxgloves, a rolling expanse of wild daisies nodding in time to breezes high above the world. Booker walks the dreamways, Columbia's gentle moving sidewalks and panoramic airlifts, suspended in space, carrying him through an ever-changing display of blooms and sunlight. He closes his eyes as he rides, letting the movement lull him, the slow sway recalling hours spent in boats, a calm woven so deep it feels as if he could drift on forever. He disembarks at Harmony Square, heart of the highest borough, where fountains play crystal songs, and paths wind between tall hedges and sun-dappled lawns. Vendors set out tables of pastries, glazed with honey, dusted with rose petal, crisped and filled with cream. Booker chooses a warm apple tart and a cup of fragrant tea, then finds a place among peonies to savor the treat and watch the square's quiet life unfold. Artists set up their easels, painting skies and flowers and the glimpses of friends caught in laughter. Children invent new games, following clouds as they shift overhead, tossing softballs of white yarn, tracing the slow path of a butterfly up and over a marble bench. Booker watches, his spirit light, heart unburdened as the hours pass, marked only by the movement of the sun and the bells. Sweet song. At midday, he joins a small group at the library atrium, where clear glass lets in rivers of light and lanterns dangle from faintly swaying wires. He settles into a soft chair and listens as an old poet reads, her voice carrying tales of sky and rain, hope and return, every phrase falling gently as petals. Around him, others close their eyes, listening, swept away by softness into almost dreams. The city's afternoon is haze and gold. Booker leaves the library and follows a path lined with forget-me-nots to the aviary, where he dawdles, watching swans trail silent wakes and pheasants move with reserved pride among trimmed shrubs. He sits in the shade, letting the coolness and birdsong buffer him from the faintest thought of time, feeling the hours expand until the world is nothing but this moment's peace. Later, he returns via the sun-drenched glassways, corridors of warmth, dripping in wisteria and bright with the scent of orange blossom. Booker pauses at a way station to take a glass of cold lemonade, savoring the tartness, then strolls the rest of the way home, shoes silent on the flagstones, heart hovering above any weight. As evening draws in, the cloud sea below wears 1,000 shades of coral, lavender, and blue. Lanterns spark alive in slow succession, painting Columbia a patchwork of warmth and gentle shadow. Booker prepares supper, slices of cheese, crusty bread, juicy pears, eaten by window, glow while a faint music drifts up from the square below. He watches stars appear, one and then many, their cold fire mirrored in lakes and windows. The city quiets for the night, every home lit by a golden hush. Booker slips into bed, lets the cool sheets and tranquil city hum lull him. His last sight is of the cloud sea glowing softly, the world wrapped in the endless embrace of peace and drifting light. Sleep comes as it always does in Columbia, deep and whole, carrying him gently over daylit gardens, through dreamways beneath the stars, forever safe in the fields above the sky. Booker wakes in cool quiet, the blue hour of early morning spreading softly across Columbia's high, unhurried world. The cloud sea below churns in lazy spirals, touched with pink and periwinkle, tendrils of fog rising to wrap the gardens and towers above in gentle warmth. He breathes the hush deeply before rising, each movement slow, each sense wrapped in the city's morning hush. He spends long moments standing by the window, wrapped in his robe, watching sunlight slip over polished stone and trailing ivy. The city is peaceful, suspended. The only sounds are distant birds, the flutter of fabric pennants in the dawn breeze, the hush of water moving through marble. Fountains. He prepares tea and bread, the flavor mild and comforting, and eats by the balcony while the world slowly brightens. Stepping outside, Booker lets his feet take him wherever they will. The terraces and lanes are covered in dew, every leaf and blossom beaded with light. Gardeners move in the distance, their motions gentle as they coax new life from flower beds and sweep petals from the walkways. Woman nearby hums while tying small ribbons to the gate of her home. White, blue, and lilac each, one catching the wind and sending tiny hopeful songs into the morning. Booker follows the curves of the city to the eastern edge, where the view is widest and the breeze pours through like a tide. He leans against a balustrade, eyes traveling over endless cloud and faint chains of far towers connected by glimmering sky rails. A family sets up for a picnic beneath an arched trellis, children laying out bright blankets, while an old man sketches roses in a battered notebook, fingers sure from years of drawing the same gentle blooms. Booker explores every calm corner, a courtyard filled with wind chimes, each note a crystalline memory. A vine-draped stair descending to the quiet riverside, its water glassy and slow. A hidden alcove thick with jasmine vines and soft cushions, where he sits for a time, letting the fragrance and shadow ease his thoughts. He lets the silence settle, his heart lighter within it. At midday, he follows a winding lane that curves high above the city to the harmonium, a great hall half open to the sky, known for midday gatherings and music without urgency. Booker lingers near a colonnade, where musicians play slow duets on piano and cello, the notes drifting in and out. With the breeze, he drinks cool water from a terracotta jug and listens, all tension gone, the music sinking deep. Lunch is simple egg salad and pickled cucumber, an apple and a sweet roll, shared at a table with strangers who become companions in the spirit of Colombia's peace. They share stories of gardens, books, dreams of travel, all in gentle voices that never hurry or boast. Afterward, Booker thanks them and wanders again beneath a patchwork of awnings and trees, the air gentle with warmth and safe shade. He spends the afternoon drifting the city's quieter avenues, streets where roses climb up painted arches and fountains send cool mist across shaded cobbles. Booker finds a shop filled with books and baskets. He selects a slim volume of poetry, the pages soft with use. He settles with it beneath an olive tree, reading while the city's life hums softly around him. As shadows lengthen, Booker moves through markets where lanterns bloom, each one a tiny promise of warmth. He tastes honeyed nuts and fresh lemonade, listens to the soft exchange of pleasantries and pockets a ribbon to tie to his own door. The city around him settles into golden calm, the hum slowing to a lullaby, each window filling with candlelight. Twilight is embraced in a slow parade. Booker's walk home is silent but for the calls of morning. Doves and the distant laughter of friends saying goodnight. The avenues glow with the tender blue of approaching stars and the delicate blush of lanterns. When he reaches his small cottage, every room glows with peace. Every blanket is soft as down. Dinner is cozy and unrushed. A bowl of vegetable soup, bread with soft butter, warm tea. Booker sits by the window, watching the last gold drain from the sky, and as night deepens, a gentle rain begins, each drop steady, rhythmic, making the city's hush even deeper. He lies in bed, covered in thick quilts, listening to the rain as it patters through the vines, against the glass and across every soft surface of the world. Sleep comes easily in Colombia tonight, carrying him through dreams of music, cloud fields, lanterns, ribbons, and gardens, floating always just above. The cares of the world. Columbia, drawn in quiet light and patient shadows, holds every heart in its embrace, guiding each soul safely onward into the next bright morning. There is a morning in Columbia when the city seems to pause, neither rushing forward nor looking back, but simply being, suspended above the world like a thought held quietly between waking and dreams. The air is sweet with dew and lilac, every window open to receive the day's gentle blessing. Booker stirs in his bed, the sheets and air around him cool, the quiet so complete it feels like a comforting hand across his brow. Today he rises with no plan beyond peace. He sits at the side of his bed, feet on the woven rug, and listens. Out beyond the curtained glass, the city is wrapped in a patient hush. A tram bell rings. Somewhere far off, a baker's laugh floats from a small square, and the thin note of a flute winds around the eaves like mist. He drinks tea slowly, his hands curled around the warmth, eyes half closed as he sips in the calm. He steps out into his little garden, slippers brushing the jewel-bright grass still beaded with night rain. All around, Columbia rests in the honey of the rising sun, its towers blushing faintly with light. He tends a patch of violets, pushing a stray root deeper, scooping water into the soil, humming a tune he can't quite remember. Faint music from other homes weaves in and out with the birdsong, threads tying one gentle life to the next. Neighbors wave as they pass, faces open, smiles gentle and easy. A girl skips down the lane, ribbons bouncing and shoes shining. A gray-haired man pauses to chat, asking Booker if he will join the concert in the arbor that evening. Perhaps, if the sky is clear. Booker answers, his words quiet and soft as the morning itself. The hours flow on like milk and honey. Booker drifts to the library, exchanging warm greetings with the poet and the watchful head librarian. He browses the fiction shelves, content to let his fingers discover a new favorite among the warm paper and afternoon sun. At a sunny table he reads, not searching for escape but resting in the gentle world the pages and city create together, each word a balm, each moment a promise that calm can last. Noon finds him sharing bread and herb cheese with old companions beneath the linden by the canal. They trade stories, laughter low and old as the stones beneath their feet. The water slips by in lazy ripples, sparrows dip for seeds, and now and then a sky tram passes overhead, its melodic whistle blending into the tapestry of easy sounds. In the garden at home, he naps under a tree, dappled by sun and shifting clouds. The branches above sway, and dreams come lightly. He travels winding ways across cloud bridges, attends lantern-lit festivals, walks the silent halls of libraries that never close. Peace is a living thing curling in sun and shade, as much a part of his day now as breath. When he wakes, the light is softer, amber and mauve, lanterns beginning to bloom along walks and spires. He stands at his fence, watching as Columbia's children chase fireflies, their laughter ringing up to the cotton ball clouds. The city is painted in slow, sacred colors, every window a candlelit promise kept. Supper is simple, a bowl of soup, fresh bread, a cup of tea, enjoyed on the porch as cool evening air brushes past. Someone plays a violin far off, the song rising and falling, laced with contentment, and the kind of sadness that never wounds. Booker lets the melody sink in, letting the day unspool into night. As stars come out, the sky above Columbia turns velvet blue, each point of light a gentle guide. People stroll beneath the lanterns, heads together, moving slowly as if to keep the moment from ending. Booker leans on his railing and watches the world wind softly down to silence. Inside, he prepares for bed. The sheets are cool, the pillow soft, and as he settles, The city's deep, steady quiet finds him. He closes his eyes. Breath slows. Every sound, rain on leaves, wind. Through arches, the bell's distant song becomes a lullaby holding him safe. He dreams of skylines and lanterns, the hush of cloud fields, books waiting on sunny tables, and friends laughing low, all wrapped together in the boundless arms of a city built for quiet rest. Above, the storm, above the world, Columbia is eternal dusk and hopeful dawn, a home that promises the spirit will always rise, always find its calm, always be at peace. Tonight and always, Booker sleeps in the heart of the sky, held gently by every drifting cloud, forever at home, forever at rest.